Not the usual theme you would usually find for a quilt, but I think it might be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, July the 5th, 2021, vlog number 223, and it's the 481st day of COVID, and it's been 96 days since I got my hair cut, as you can see, but I'm getting closer. July the 13th is the big day for that. We have appointments. Okay, what have I been working on? Here's a crappy quilt. Do you get the joke? This is a panel, and it shows old-fashioned outhouses, kind of caricatures of old outhouses. And so I made it into a quilt. Now, originally, the pattern for this, well, when I saw this fabric, I first of all dismissed it, and then I came back to it and thought, you know, it just might be fun for something different to make sort of a comical piece. And there was a pattern to make this into a table runner. Well, I thought, do I really want to put outhouses on my table? No, I don't think so. So I changed the pattern, did my own thing, and made it into a small lap quilt. Now this is just the top. I haven't layered it yet, nor have I quilted it. That's coming up. And I think because this is kind of just a fun piece, I think I'm just going to willy-nilly do free motion quilting on it and see how that turns out. I don't know what I'm going to have, but I'll play around and see what happens and not worry too much about the final version of it, because after all, you know what's going to happen with this? It's just going to get folded up and put in the pile with all the other quilts. It's probably not going to be out anywhere. It's not going to be like a wall hanging or something like that. It's just for fun. So anyways, that's what I've been working on lately. And I've also been working on Christmas. Yeah, you can't plan for Christmas gifts too soon. So I went on to one of the sites I go to a lot for embroidery programs. I think this one was Embroidery Library. And I saw that they had some gnome embroidery designs. And I had just recently bought some gnome fabric. Now I bought some gnome fabric, Christmas gnome fabric last year as well, and it's kind of fun. And I saw this line when I went to Annie's there a week or so ago, and I mentioned that on the broadcast. And so I stitched out two of these. I bought three of these. This is one, and this is the other. Bunch of gnomes in a truck. You gotta love a bunch of gnomes in a truck, don't you? There is a third one, and I haven't stitched it out yet because I actually had some problems with this design. This is actually its third version of it because, or no, not that one, this one. Because there was parts missing in the file, and I've never had that before from this particular company. So I sent them off an email, and they got back to me like within half an hour and said, they sent me another copy of it and said, you know, try this. And they made some other suggestions. Well, the long and short of it is, I got a version of this file that did work. And the one that was really meant for my particular embroidery machine, it definitely has some problems with it. But the other file worked, so I'm happy. But I was impressed by their service because they took it very seriously that, you know, that there was a flaw. Okay, so that's what I've been working on there. I do have another type of table runner I want to make for Christmas. I downloaded again from the different site, I think, these Santa Clauses, but they're very elegant looking Santa Clauses. They're not really caricatures, they're more arty looking. And I just ordered some more fabric the other day from out west at Peachtree Quilts in a darker background. It's a Christmas fabric, but it's dark. It's black. Essentially, it's black or charcoal gray, I guess, with some light designs in it. And I think these particular Santas that I stitch out will look really fantastic with a dark background. And I'll show those to you when I get to it. So essentially what I'm trying to do, it's Christmas in July. I'm trying to organize potential gifts at Christmas. for various individuals. Most of those people are people that, I see, haven't been able to see for a while because of COVID, of course, but, the employees at Ultimate Sewing, because I like to give them something at Christmas time each year because they look after Walter and I so well. The other thing that I got in the mail, this is from my art journal group, one of my ladies, Caroline is her name, and this is 6 months worth of ATCs. And you know how I take these and I put them in a place of honor so they can be there for inspiration. I don't do ATCs, but I do appreciate the creative talent that went into these. And so these are really, really nice. And so that's what I'll do with them. I'll put them in a place where I'll be able to see them each day. And when I need inspiration, I'll take a look at all of these ATCs from my art journaling group. And it'll probably give me some ideas. Okay, so that's the things I've been working on. So the YouTube channel this week is called Six Sisters Stuff, and they have quite an interesting channel. So actually, I won't say any more. I'll just show you the video. This week's YouTube channel is all about cooking. It's called Six Sisters Stuff, and actually they are six sisters, and they show you how to make a variety of meals, and they do everything from budget types of meals to meal planning to using different gadgets to help make the process a little faster, and they've got some really neat ideas. The videos are very professional. They're very well explained, and they usually have recipes in the show notes for each of their cooking delights as well. So if you want something that's both entertaining and yummy, then check out Six Sisters Stuff. Link for that YouTube channel's in the show notes. There's also a link for Stephen and Walter Live. Walter and I got talking about the live, and I have been trying, but not that well, to create a theme for each one of our lives. And most of the time we never get to the theme, or the theme is such that I'm really stretching, okay, looking for a topic. But you know what I got thinking about is the fact that the reason I never get to the theme topics is basically because we start talking about various things that have been happening in our lives, and there's spin-offs from that based upon the comments people are making during the live and things like that. And so we go in a totally different direction than the theme, and that's fine. So I think that's what we're going to try from here on in. We'll just talk about things that have happened in the week. We may talk about a few things that have stuck in our mind from, say, the news and things like that. And rather than having a big overall unifying theme, it'll be more like segments about various things that's been happening in our lives in the week. And then we'll just build on those according to the comments that are made during the live. So we're going to give that a try and see how that works out. And I think it's going to work out okay. I think so. Okay, so the link, as I said, is in the show notes. There's a link to episode 121 of The Idiot Quilter. There's a link to the current interview that I have done with one of my regular subscribers. And we have a So Chatty that we want to talk about hacks. Things that you find out as you're sewing and the way your sewing room is set up and what you're using that, are things that you may have had laying around in your house, or you can pick up at a dollar store or whatever. And these are usually items that most people don't think or associate with quilting or sewing, but are very handy. So we started to brainstorm a list of things, and our list grew to over 30. So we've had to split the video into two parts. So the one that I have the link for here is the first part, and then later this week or the end of this week we'll post part 2. Yeah, I think that's got everything in the list except Craft and Chat and Stephen's Creative Birthday Bash. You've heard me talking about these over the last few weeks. So there is now a link, the Zoom link, for the Craft and Chat. This occurs this week, Wednesday, July the 7th. Starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, runs till approximately 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I always have these the first Wednesday of every month, as you know. I sound like a broken record. I've said this so many times, but just in case there's new bodies here, all are welcome. It doesn't matter whether you're a sewer or a quilter, if you knit, if you crochet, if you do mixed media, if you do art journaling, if you do scrapbooking, if you do paper crafts, anything. It's just a few hours that you can get away, go to your happy place, make something that just for you, or carry on with something you're working on, and we work on our projects together, and we may talk about our projects, and we talk about other things. It's a no drama site. We don't get all carried away with the politics or religion or the diseases of the day. It's just a group of friends coming together, enjoying each other's company as they work on something creative. All are welcome. If you can't make it right at 1 o'clock, that does not matter. You can pop in for as late as you want and for as long as you want. It's totally up to you. No strings attached. So that's this coming Wednesday, July the 7th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the big event that falls on its heels to the Craft and Chat is what I call Stephen's Creative Birthday Bash. This is on Saturday, July the 10th. It starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it'll run until about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, you do not have to start right at 9 a.m. For those of you out in the West Coast, 3 hours difference, right? So for you, it would be like 6 a.m. in the morning. You may not want to really get up that early, okay, for something like this. And that's fine, not a problem. For those of you in Europe, it's going to be much later. Yeah, I understand. But what is it? Well, it's going to be sort of like Craft and Chat, except I'm hoping there'll be even more people because it's on a Saturday. So I know a lot of people would like to join Craft and Chat, but can't because it's during the week. And, I have to remember some people are still working. When you're retired, you forget about that. And it is the same idea. Come work on whatever you want to work on. And it's very relaxed, very informal. Now, in this one's case, because it is basically 8 hours, is it 8 hours? Does that work out to 8 hours? I think so. I'm going to break up the day with I have a couple of videos from my vault of videos that I thought I'd show. One that'll probably appeal to the crafters more, and one that'll appeal more to the quilters and sewers more. But there is overlap, because after all, I do it all. So that's there. And yeah, I mentioned yesterday in Stephen Walter Live, I'm thinking about prizes. I'm still up in the air about that because I'm really not sure, one, how to decide who wins. When I did the retreat in March, I had prizes, but that was easy because people had to pre-register for that. So I assigned people as they pre-registered a number. And so I just did a random number generator thing on my iPhone, and that's how I picked prizes out. This, because you don't have to register for this, I don't know how I will do it. I may not do it at all, just because I'm afraid it won't be fair, whatever method that I pick. So, yeah. But anyways, why am I doing it? Because it's July the 10th is 4 days before my birthday. And yeah, normally this time of the year, just before my birthday, we would be going to a place about 2 hours or so to the west of us. It's an area of Ontario where there are a lot of quilt stores within about a 25-mile radius of each other. We get a room. We spend 3 days there, and we make it a little mini vacation. We do shop, shop, shop till you drop. A lot of money gets dropped, believe me, on that. And we do dinner out, and that's how we do my birthday. Well, we couldn't do that last year because of COVID, and we can't do it this year because of COVID. So I thought just for something a little special that I would run this little mini retreat, if you want to call it that. So I hope you can join me. I don't know how many people I could have. I can accommodate up to 100 on the license I have for Zoom. I doubt that I'm going to have that many, but it's there. So think about it. If you're bored this coming Saturday, why not come and have a little fun with me for my birthday? Okay, so the link for that, the Zoom link for that is in the show notes as well. All right. So what's that take me to now? Yeah, what I'm pissed off at this week. Well, end of the school year. Here in Ontario, last day of school was June the 30th. I know when I was teaching that basically we start to count down the days to June the 30th, because that meant we would have 2 months off for the summer. And it was glorious. And I'm going to sneeze. Sorry about that. And you really need that break. Now, people always bitch about teachers. Oh yeah, teachers. You work 10 months out of the year, you get 2 months off at summer, 2 months off or 2 weeks off at Christmas, a week off for March break, another 4-day long weekend for Easter. You know, you have so many holidays. Why do you need 2 months off in the summer? I will tell you. The first month, you're in therapy. The second month, you're preparing to go back to school. Now, yes, I am being a little bit sarcastic here, but not really. The therapy part, July, is when you realize that you have a choice when the alarm goes off in the morning. If I want to sleep a little later, I can. If I want to start my day, having a coffee, reading the newspaper on the internet, whatever, sitting out on my deck, enjoying the morning sunlight, I can do that. I don't have to worry about that stack of papers that are sitting over there that need to be marked. I don't have to worry about, having to follow up on disciplinary actions on this kid or that kid. I don't have to worry about lesson prepping. I don't have to worry about 101 things that happen to every teacher every day in a school day. If we only taught, there'd be no problem. But no job is simple, and a teacher's job is definitely not simple. In fact, it's very complex. Teachers are underpaid because what a teacher manages during a day is probably more than what a CEO of a corporation manages. Let me give you an example what a teacher's day is like, or what was my day like when I used to teach. It's almost been 10 years that I've been retired. Do I remember? I don't know. Yes, I do. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would be at school by 6:30 in the morning. Classes did not start until about 8:45, something like that. 8:30, 8:45. I would get into the school that early because I would be one of the few people there before the rest of my department came in, before the kids started flocking in. Because the moment the kids got into the school, the day was now chaos. There would be so many things thrown at you. You would not have time to do any of the stuff that really teachers should be doing, like working on your lesson prep, organizing your classroom, getting your supplies out, all that kind of stuff. So I'd get in there at that time in the morning. That's when I'd look at all my email. This would involve emails that have come from parents concerned about Johnny's progress, or Mary Lou is having some kind of traumatic issue that needs to be looked after. Because you're not just a teacher, you're a parent too when you're doing this kind of stuff. You're also a therapist, custodian, supply manager. You're everything. So I would get in about an hour and a half worth of work undisturbed until those kids got into school. And then that was it. I'd have hall supervision. I'd have lunch supervision. I would have a department I had to look after. I would have meetings I'd have to go to at the end of the day, and I needed to prep for those. All of those things. I would always have a stack. I was an English teacher, so there was always essays to mark. God, I don't miss the marking. I can tell you that. One of the most exhausting things about teaching is marking, especially when you're an English teacher, because you're reading the equivalent in one semester, a couple of volumes of War and Peace that you've got to go through and highlight the errors and the corrections and make comments and stuff like that. I shiver thinking about it. I hated marking. That was the one thing about my teaching job that I hated, absolutely hated, was evaluation, was marking. But anyways, I digress. So Then you teach your classes in all of this. You put out little fires that happen all the time. You know, these two kids are going at each other's throat, need to separate them. You got them doing group work. You're running around from one group to another, checking on things, helping them out, getting things organized with them. And you'd always have the lazy ones that the kids would bitch about. Well, I've done all the work and I don't think it's fair that Johnny should get the same mark as me because he did absolutely nothing. He sat there and let us do all the rest of the work. You want to know something? That's very true. And that's very true in life, isn't it? There's always the ones that are the worker bees, and then there's always the ones that sit back on their rear ends and accept all the rewards from somebody else's efforts. So yeah, so your day, by the time you were finished your day, you were exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. I remember my first few years of teaching, I would come home dead tired and I would still be up until 11 o'clock at night writing lesson plans, marking, everything like that, and starting that all over the next day. And the weekends were always taken up with that kind of thing too. You didn't just stop. A teacher's job doesn't stop when the final bell of the day goes. Now, I learned tricks. I learned tricks over the years for survival, and all teachers do. I learned ways to prep more efficiently. I learned how to regulate my time better, more efficiently too, as well. But nevertheless, when June 30th came around, you had a little sigh and went, oh, the summer cannot be too long. That's July. And just about to the first weekend in August, you're just getting into the swing of things. And then the 1st of August happens and you go, oh my God, in 4 weeks' time, I have to go back to school. You start prepping. You start out a little bit slow at the first of the month. By the time you get in the middle of the month, you're adding more and more to your plate. So the last 2 weeks of August basically are not a holiday because there's a ton of things you need to do in order to reopen for September. So yeah, teachers deserve their time. Because think about it. No parent can handle what a teacher does. You see parents complaining all the time that they can hardly keep up with their 1 or 2 children. Okay, multiply that by 30. Then multiply that by 3. Because as a high school teacher in a semester system, I taught 3 classes out of 4 a day. And each one of my classes had a minimum of 30 students in them, if not more, and usually more. So that was 90 kids I was seeing every day that I had to deal with. And each one of those students is an individual, and each one comes to the table with something that you as a teacher have to deal with. They have a learning disability. They need special help with this. There's emotional issues you have to deal with as a teacher as well. You're a therapist as well as many, many other things. So yeah, there is no way the average parent could actually handle that unless they were a teacher too. So really, when I hear parents complain about how tired they are because of their kids and stuff like that, I get out the little violin. Okay? So yes, teachers work hard. And during COVID, they've worked even harder because they've had to deal with an education system that has not supported them, especially in this province, with a government that has not supported them, and I dare say possibly a union that has not really supported them. Because the union says it's supporting them, but they're too involved in the politics. The average teacher is not getting any relief from all of this. Teachers have had to cope with trying to figure out how to deliver a quality education in an environment that's somewhat foreign to most teachers, i.e., online. So, yeah, teachers deserve their 2 months off. My hat goes off to them, not just because I was a teacher, so I relate, but also because I know firsthand how hard teachers work. and they are worth a heck of a lot more and should be getting paid what a CEO of a small corporation gets paid. Of course, that's never going to happen, but they deserve it. So give them a break. Think about what it would be like if you had 30 kids in your house, how you would cope. And then thank God that there are people out there in this society who have put themselves into, have chosen a profession that is very thankless. Very thankless. And by the way, teachers are front-line workers. And there hasn't been very much said about them, not in comparison to the other front-line workers. And I think that's unfair. Okay, moving on. So let's take a look at what's new, what products I have. Well, I got Happy Mail. Now, I don't get Happy Mail. And the reason I don't get Happy Mail is because I don't put my address in. And I do that because I really don't want people sending me things. Yeah, the thought is there. It's very appreciative and the whole bit, but it costs big bucks to send things through the mail. And, you know, quite frankly, I don't need your cast-offs, okay? So I don't put my Happy Mail in. Sorry if that sounds like very, I don't know, bitter. It's not what I intend it to be. I just mean I don't want people to waste their time sending me things that, you know, I'll go, yeah, well, isn't that nice? And then it'll go in a corner someplace and be all forgotten. But this will not be forgotten. Jules, who is a regular subscriber to my channel, trying to get the glare off the book, she was cleaning out her mother's place, I think, at one point in time, and came across this book and thought of me, because she knows, from what I have said before, how much I really like Kaffe Fassett's fabrics. In fact, my very first quilt was made with Kaffe Fassett fabrics. And so she sent me this book. Now, this book took a while to get here, and no fault of Jules. The mail system. When she told me she wanted to send me this book, I turned around and said, look, sending a book through the mail can be very, very pricey. I think she's in Wisconsin, and so she's sending it here to Ontario. So, you know, I didn't want her to go to a lot of expense to send something like this. But nevertheless, she said she was going to do that. So, thank you very much, Jules. I really appreciate it. It took 6 weeks. Might have been even 2 months. It just was locked up in the U.S. Postal Service. So it's nice to see the U.S. Postal Service is just as efficient as the Canadian system. Not. So anyways, I finally got it about a week ago. And it's a fabulous book. It features all of his fabrics, which are very beautiful. And there's patterns in here for making things. Now, I have to say that the patterns are very simple patterns. They're meant to show off his fabrics. But nevertheless, this is just a beautiful book to look through because of the pictures and the fabrics that he has. They're very colorful. So, Judith also wrote me a little note, and you can see it peeking out there from the inside leaf. And I have taped it inside of this book, so I'll always remember who this book came from. So, yeah, I was thrilled to get it. It took a while to come. That's okay. So thank you, Jules. Okay, so I did, of course I did. I bought more fabric. I've got to slow down. I do. I have an obsession. But this fabric that I'm going to show you just very quickly, tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, I'm going to go into this a little bit more detail. But I saw this online when I was shopping around, this pattern. And I think this was this a freebie pattern? No, I don't think it was a freebie pattern. I bought it. But I liked the panel. Lately, I've gotten into panels. In this panel, they call it Autumn Steam Quilt. So you can see it has these trains and things in an autumn setting. And I really liked the fabrics. They were a little different. And I was thinking, yeah, why not make a autumn quilt? So I needed to order the fabric. So I went through the pattern. They told you what fabrics you needed, and so I bought them all. And I've got the panel. Here's the panel in real life. Let me just unfold it for you. Okay, I'm all thumbs. Here we go. There's the panel. So that's what you build the quilt around. And I needed the fabrics for that, so I bought the fabrics. Throw that over there, and here they are. These are all the fabrics. Now I have more than enough for that quilt because I always buy a minimum of 2 meters of fabric, except this one is going to be the backing, so I got 4 meters of it. So that's a project coming up at some point in time. Now, as I said, tomorrow I will go through this pattern in a little bit more detail and show you the fabrics up close and personal as well. That's just a little teaser for tomorrow's Idiot Quilter. And yeah, so that's all I've bought this week. I do have some Christmas fabric on order from Peachtree Quilts. And I did buy a whole bunch of bag making patterns as well. And again, those are things I'm going to show tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. So if you're interested, tune in. Okay, so what have I been making in the 3D corner? Well, Walter says all I do is make boxes. I do have an obsession with containers. I'll have to say that. I love containers. I don't know why, but I do. So I made one. This one is a basket weave. And I think it's really nice. And I did this in copper, so it has a metallic look to it. Right now it's holding spare bobbins, but I really liked it. It turned out quite nice. Might have been nice if it had a lid too, and I don't know if I could design a lid for it or not. I might be able to. My designing skills are not that great yet. In fact, almost non-existent in CAD programs that you use to create things for the 3D printer. I rely upon downloading freebies from the internet because there's lots of sites that do, like Thingiverse. But I like this design so much, I made 2 more. And I changed those ones into pin cushions. And I'll show those. Actually, I showed them yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, and I'm going to show them again on tomorrow's The Idiot Quilter, if you're interested. But I made them in 2 more sizes, slightly smaller than this. And they make really cute little pin cushions as well. And you know I've been obsessed with pin cushions lately. I have a lot of obsessions. Okay? And containers, well, I made these 2. Same design, one smaller than the other, and I'm keeping my quilting pins in them. But what's kind of neat about these ones is they have a screw lid, which worked out really well. So yeah, that's a keeper, that one, because who can't use things like this? And I can go a little bigger than this yet. I haven't tried, but I will. And then, of course, I've been doing stuff for Christmas. I got thinking about Halloween, so I found a whole bunch of 3D prints that I think would make great little decorations for Halloween. Now, do I need more decorations for Halloween? Well, the thing is this, I never used to decorate for Halloween. I mean, I have a plastic pumpkin that lights up. I've had it for years, probably had it for 30 years. So on Halloween Eve day, I dig out my pumpkin, I set it up, plug it in, away we go. Actually, that's a lie. That was my other pumpkin. I did, 5 or 6 years ago, buy a more modern pumpkin that actually has sound effects. And so I get that out to put it there. I usually have both of them. If the weather is half decent that night, I'll put the one with the sound effects out on the front step, and I'll put the light up one inside, but I have big glass doors you can see through, storm doors kind of thing that goes inside. So that's the extent of my Halloween decorating until last year, and I found some embroidery patterns for in the hoop, freestanding lace and applique haunted houses, and I did show those last year. I'll probably show them again this year, which I really like, and I've got little lights for them the whole bit. Well, I'm going to add to that. I'm starting a Halloween village because I found this little design for making these cute little haunted houses. Now you can see it's not very big. Now, some people asked me yesterday when I showed this on Steve and Walter Live how I got the windows to light up. Well, they don't light up. This is a solid piece of plastic, but when it prints out these raised windows. Now, the person who designed this talked about a method for using 2 colors of filament, one for the house itself and then switching it over to another filament for the windows, which I tried his method. It didn't seem to work for me. There is another method I might try, but in the meantime, I thought, well, let's get out a Sharpie. And that's what I did. You could paint these as well, but I'm not that good on painting, so I used the Sharpie, and it turned out pretty good. I used an orange Sharpie. So I love this one so much, I thought, what would it look like if I made it bigger? So I did. I made it a little bigger. So you can see the difference here in size. But I did the same thing with the Sharpie. However, big is good, but really big is better. So I went to the maximum size I can make it on my printer, and I made it out of a different color. I made it out of purple, and I used the orange marker. So I have 3 different sizes. And now what I'm working on are pumpkins. And somebody asked me, can you put a light in them? No, as I said, they're solid. But the pumpkins I'm making, I think, are hollow. I can't show them to you yet because one is just finishing up on the printer. Actually, it is finished. It's just cooling down. And I had to use what they call supports in it, so I need to pull those out. And I tried something a little different this time, and a quick glance over at it looks like it may have worked okay, but I'll probably show you the end result of that next week. So yes, and I have others. I have some skulls I want to try and things like that. Now, when I make all of these, is my purpose for making them for home decor? Not really. They're more to try out different things on my printer that I've never done before. It's, I'm trying to educate myself about all the ins and outs of this hobby of 3D printing, because there's a lot of ins and outs. So that's why I'm doing these various things. So is my printer ever off? You don't hear it right now, because it was off when I came downstairs this morning, because it finished the pumpkin that's on there right now sometime earlier this morning. And after I'm finished the vlog, it'll be up and running again doing something. I pretty much use it every day of the week, and it usually runs into the night and into the next morning, depending on the nature of the project that I'm printing. So yeah. Now, I am actually toying with the idea of buying a second 3D printer. The only reason I'm hesitating is, as I've said before, these are not plug and play. You have to put them together. Although we've done one. Second one, they all are basically the same kind of design. And then I have to have a place to put it. Well, yeah, I'm running out of room. But I'm sure I could find a spot for it. The other thing too is I want one that has a bigger bed. That's the part that the piece sits on and gets built upon. So I can make bigger things. Now you're getting into a little bit more pricey. So, do I want to invest that kind of money into a second printer? I don't know. I'm still playing with the idea. Yeah, so that's about it about 3D printing. Okay, so here's the second part of the using art foamies. This is a blast from the past. And, well, let's get started.
And I'm using the glossy side of the deli paper. I don't think it really matters, but I saw something, I didn't realize there were 2 sides to deli paper. And then I saw a YouTube video and someone there was talking about using the glossy side as opposed to the not so glossy side. I don't know. I don't know if it makes any difference. I haven't found any difference, but I'm doing that anyways. All right, so you get your stamp buddy out. And I'm going to use 3 colors of paint for this, so it's 3 shades of green. And I'm just going to kind of do a gradient effect. So I'm dividing my image in thirds. You can do it all in one solid color, you can do it in 2 colors, you can do it the same way you want. And I'm just going to lay down a bead of ink across here, maybe a little bit more. It looks like it's taking a lot of ink, but you're going to see I only have to ink. This is acrylic paint. You only have to put this on once for a session, really. And then I'm using a scraper. Could use a paintbrush, but just using a scraper, and I'm covering that first upper third of my bird. I need a little bit more paint. It soaks it right in. Okay. to use, I'll use this color next. And I'm kind of letting the colors overlap a little bit. That was that one, and then I'll use this green. I need a little bit more in this spot. I'm just trying to get coverage over that whole stamped image. A little bit of overlap. Okay, so I've got those on there. Now I'm going to take my foam stamp, and I can basically sort of still see the outline. You probably can't on camera, but I can see it here. And it doesn't really matter. I don't have to match it up exactly. It's just a guide so I can get color on this. And I'm just pressing it in, and I'm not pressing it really hard, but fairly, even. Take it off, and let's stamp. Again, just even pressure. Whoa, look at that. That is fantastic. Now, I'm not going to re-ink it. This time I'm just going to do another one and see how much I can get. There, a little fainter, but okay. And maybe let's do one more down here. See what a third generation stamp looks like. Yeah, a little fainter, but that's okay. Alright, so I'm going to ink it up again. Start down here this time. Oops, I think I kind of moved my hand a bit, so I think I kind of blurred it there, but I'm not going to worry about that. This is why you don't want to press it, I guess, too hard on some of the skinny pieces. They might shift on you. This is looking good. Now, I've got enough paint on that Stamp Buddy that I can do another sheet, so let me get another sheet. Let's be more random on this one. There, I did it again. I moved it a little bit, but I mean, since this is going to possibly be torn up, I'm not really worried about that. Let's see if I can stamp off a little bit. Down to my sheet and getting out a shot here. So. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Now I'm going to show you cleanup process. So let me grab a baby wipe. all I've been doing is I'm just basically wiping the paint off. Now you don't want the paint to dry on this, they tell you, because if it gets into the little grooves and things, then it'll ruin the stamp. Well, it'll be too hard. It won't come off then, and you won't get a good impression. As I said, you can take this and run it under the tap as well, and take a soft bristle toothbrush or soft bristle brush, and just clean out all the grooves. But I'm finding that this seems to be working fine. Now I am being fairly thorough. Cost-wise, these aren't bad. They ranged in price from about $8.99 up to about $15.99, depending on the size. And I'm definitely going to go online and order some more, because I'm really liking these. Okay, so I've got him pretty much cleaned up. Snap him off on here to dry him. You can blot a little bit with paper towel, so he can air dry. So I'm going to shut off the video for a second, because I'm going to go to my sink and I'm going to wash this out, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've ran this under the tap and I squeezed it out. It's a big sponge basically, and I squeezed the paint out of it, and once the water ran clear, I knew I had all the paint out. Yes, it looks like there's going to be some staining, but that's not going to give me any problems, because I can put any color on that, and since really it's just the staining, the paint is out of it, so it should work fine. And you can see, because I use StazOn, that the impression that I made initially is still on the pad. This was Julie Boy, do I have trouble with her name. Julie Fan Bolzer's tip for doing this, and I think it works really well. On the website for the Art Foamies, they show actually putting your paint on here wherever you want it, and then sort of going like this, dabbing different parts. But I think this method worked a little better. And as I said, you don't have to do it in a gradient. It can be any color you want. Okay, let's put him aside to dry.
So that takes us to what's been happening in the last week. I got a disturbing phone call from my mother. You're going to, she called you? No, she didn't. The staff member did for her. My mother was insisting she wanted to talk to me. So yeah, and I think I mentioned this last week, because it didn't happen in this past week, it happened the week before. And, you know, it disturbed me. Because, you know, basically my mother wanted me or my sister to come there, get them, and take her to our place. And we can't do that, okay, for a variety of reasons. So I got another disturbing phone call from a staff member about my mother. Just got this yesterday. Apparently, she threw up several times, didn't want lunch, didn't want breakfast. They were changing her diet. I don't know if this is a permanent change. I have to investigate this, where they're going to start giving her minced food, because they said she's having trouble, I guess, eating unminced food. Now, why does this bother me? Well, I think my mother's got dementia. When I was talking to her and on that other disturbing phone call, she was giving me conspiracy theories. She was actually kind of nasty on the phone to me, but that's okay. I understand, you know. The lady that's in the nursing home right now, quite frankly, is not my mother. Not the way I remember my mother. And this is what makes me think that she really has full-blown dementia now. She is doing all the things that my father did. My father had full-blown dementia too before he passed away. It's just deja vu here. Same thing all over again, which really bothers me. It bothers me because I can't do anything about it. It bothers me because I really don't think I made the right decisions always when my father was going through things like that. In my defense, I'd never been through this before in my life. I was making it up as I went along. I did my best. Fortunately, my mother's in a place where they have trained professionals to look after her, given the situation, whereas my dad did not until near the end. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. But I'm still very concerned. So I've put out a call to the nurse practitioner. I would like the nurse practitioner to check my mother over for dementia and any other problems. Now, there's a possibility she has a urinary tract infection because that can play on older people's minds. Walter's mom had dementia and it got really bad. And when it did, Walter knew she's got a urinary tract infection. There's a link between the two of those things. However, I actually asked my mother when on one of those calls, I said, "So Mom, you feeling okay? You don't think you have a urinary tract infection, do you?" "No, I don't have that." Well, sometimes I guess, I don't know, never having one, I'm not sure what it feels like or what it does to you. But I know that the staff is trained for this kind of thing, but nobody's mentioned this to me yet. So that's another thing with the nurse practitioner. I want them to check to see if she's got a urinary tract infection. I'm going to be very aggressive about this. It's not like the staff have let me down in any way, no. But they're probably understaffed, as all nursing homes are. And since I can't physically get in and see my mother and talk to her, then I have to rely upon the services that exist there to keep her safe, to keep her, as healthy as they can and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk to the nurse practitioner. I already sent an email out to one of the administrators and she said that she would have this nurse practitioner. I sent that out like about Friday, late Friday. So, the nurse practitioner's not around on the weekend, that kind of thing. So she said, first thing this week, the nurse practitioner, she'd have her go and look into things and they'd get back to me. Well, I'll give them today. If I don't hear anything from them today, then I will readdress the issue with them and I will push it a little bit more. This whole thing with my mother wrecked last night's sleep. I get upset with it. I'm a control person, yes, and I don't like it when there's things out of my control. And also, I second guess every action I take. Is there more I could do? Did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision? I feel very alone in making these decisions because my brother is in BC. Not much he can do out there, 5,000 kilometers away. My sister does what she can, but she defers to me when it comes to making any major decisions because I have power of attorney and all of that kind of stuff. Walter helps a great deal because he went through a lot of this with his own parents who are long gone. So that I appreciate. But you still feel very alone because ultimately all decisions that affect my mother are mine. And I don't want to screw it up. So yeah, I'm a worrier. So last night I laid wide awake in bed. I went to bed at about 9 o'clock, read a little bit because that usually settles my mind down and I can fall asleep. I did fall asleep for a couple hours and then I was back wide awake and my brain going and going and going. I'm sure lots of people have that kind of thing. Not only that, my body was aching last night. Now, that's not unusual at times, but really to the point where I couldn't get comfortable. I actually took a gummy. We have a supply of gummies that are special gummies, okay? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Well, it's okay. It's legal in Ontario, so, they're marijuana. But it's a strain of marijuana that's to help relax you and let you fall asleep. And when I have these problems, sometimes I will have a gummy, and it usually works. Had one last night, didn't work. Did not work. I don't think I finally fell asleep until about 5 this morning. Well, usually I wake up at about 5. So actually, I slept in a little bit this morning. Well, I didn't really sleep. I just laid there. And I finally got up at about 6:30. Okay? So I know why my body was aching. My body, when I feel stressed, and this does give me stress, it gives me emotional stress, okay? My body will react. And that's what it was doing. And I know that, and I got to get a grip on that. But anyways, yeah, I thought things were going so well. When she moved into the new place, she seemed to be happier. She seemed to be lively and, you know, getting involved in things and whatnot. And now this. So I don't know. So we'll see. I have to just keep pushing people to give me some answers. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, so our container gardening, I should really say it's not mine, it's Walter's. Walter's the gardener, okay? But it's doing really well. We are eating salads coming out of our yin yang, which is a good thing because we don't eat enough green things in our diet, and we need to. And it's great because we have all these different varieties of lettuce growing, and now our cherry tomatoes are coming on, and it just, there's something about eating that which you've grown yourself. You know there aren't any pesticides or chemicals on them because we don't use anything like that. So truly, we are organically gardening, I guess. And just yesterday, Walter came in with one of our cherry tomatoes. Actually, I call them a cherry tomato. They are technically a grape tomato. But the first one ripened up. We have all kinds of green ones on there now, and they're coming along, and they'll all come out at once. So Walter brought it in, and he cut it in half, and we tried it, and it was absolutely delicious. Because I don't know about you, but when you buy produce at the grocery store these days, nothing seems to have any taste. And I thought it was because I read something about as you get older, you lose your taste buds, and I thought, oh God, I've lost my taste buds. But after eating that cherry tomato, that grape tomato, yesterday, no, I have not lost my taste buds. It's just that we have such sanitized food in the grocery store that, you know, you might as well be eating straw because there's just no flavor in it. So anyways, I thought I'd do a little video clip I'm going to put in here right now so you can see our container garden and the first tomato of our season.
So this is our little deck garden here, our container gardening. Walter is giving some water because it's been really hot the last few days. And you can see we've got some tomatoes coming. Little cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes. We have chives. And that's stevia, the little green thing, you know, the sweetener, that's natural sweetener. Not sure what you got in this little pot. What's that?
Basil and some herbs, but it keeps, I didn't have a drain hole, so it kept getting watered out.
And then we've got some lettuce here. Another tomato plant. Lots of parsley and rosemary, and do we have thyme in there? And what else is in there?
Thyme, what do you call it? Parsley and oregano and rosemary.
And rosemary, okay. And then over here, this is mint. And what's
Tarragon.
this? And tarragon. And then that's basil, or basil, however you want to say it. And these are kind of like a bean plant, but they were sort of a afterthought because really you're not going to get much off of something like that. There's some peppers in here.
They're hot peppers.
Hot peppers. We've got flowers on them, and there's tiny little
peppers on
tiny
them.
little peppers.
It's just an experiment too.
Yep, there's one of the little peppers right there. So yeah, and then we've got down at that end where Walter is walking to, we have another type of lettuce, a darker, kind of a reddy kind of lettuce.
Tomato that.
What's that?
Tomatoes beginning to get ripe.
Oh, so we'll have tomatoes all at once. So we've actually been eating the lettuce because Walter keeps replanting it, and it comes back up really quick with it. And it's kind of nice. And once the tomatoes come onto it, that'll be even nicer in salads. We eat more salads in the summer because, believe it or not, this lettuce does not taste like what you get in a grocery store. It's got a much nicer taste to it, much fresher taste. This is no ordinary tomato. This is a cherry tomato from our container.
It's a grape tomato.
Sorry, I stand corrected. It's a grape tomato that just came out of our container garden. This is the first one of the season. We're about to try it to see how it tastes. Yeah, actually. Definitely different than the cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes that we buy at the grocery store. So, we have lots of green ones out there?
Yeah, lots of green ones.
Ooh, lots of tomatoes. Tomato salad.
So that pretty much finishes up this week's vlog. Just a reminder again about Craft and Chat this Wednesday, July the 7th, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and Stephen's Creative Birthday Bash this coming Saturday, July the 10th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope to see you at one or both of those events. Idiot Quilter will come out tomorrow, the next episode. Later in the week, there'll be another episode of So Chatty, and there'll be a new interview up as well tomorrow that I have done. So lots coming up. Enjoy your week, and I hope you're happy, and I hope you're healthy. See you later. Bye-bye.